It's been close to a year already since we got our first DLC from the past, and the speculation has been quite a ride. And although I'm just going to briefly skim through how I feel about each character, the focus of this video is to rank them according to what they bring to the table for Smash from a gameplay perspective. Remember, this is all just an opinion from an armchair game designer. Joker was a character I would have never seen coming. Being from a series more focused on Sony consoles, I only knew of Persona 5 due to the memes from the battle system menu that were popping up everywhere. Still, it was a neat addition to the roster. It also brought one of the sickest soundtracks to Smash and a pretty unique looking stage. Joker's mechanics are pretty okay. The character himself is awesome to play as, being fast and aggressive, which is a blast even for the spectator. But on the other hand, I feel he could have been so much more. I don't know much about Persona, so I'm not sure how Personas work in the game, but I'm pretty sure that there are a lot of them and Joker can use more than one. So calling forth a Persona style menu, while ideal, would sort of defeat the purpose of the next DLC's gimmick, so naturally, they would want to make Joker rely on a different gimmick. For the sake of bringing something entirely new, I would have the player choose Joker's persona at the character select screen, much like Pokemon Trainer chooses his start in Pokemon. Except for Joker, you can't switch them, you equip your combat mechanic persona, and that's who you're stuck with for the whole match. However, these persona all have different effects on Joker. Arsene will retain his recovery and keep the counter move. I would barely raise his attack, but not to the ridiculous proportions that he currently has. Another persona's mechanics could be that once summoned, Joker would gain insane agility, like having the bunny ears on, except it lasts until the rebel gauge depletes. His down B move would be something else to go with a theme of speed, like a huge windbox burst from Garula or Garudine. And another persona to boost Joker's attacks, but make him a bit slower. Again, down B is replaced by another special attack while this persona is out. So basically this. As it turned out, I give Joker a 6. I'm a huge dork for Dragon Quest, and Heroes trailer was everything I wanted. The epic trailer, the World of Light connection, the naming of each skill, and best of all, it gave us 4 different heroes from the series. Anyway, Heroes mechanics have been case of serious controversy, which can be seen still today. The very first thing you notice is the MP bar. Right off the bat, you just know his special attacks will be limited. You spend them by using any of your magic attacks through his specials. The MP consumption depends on magic skill. For any direction other than down B, Hero will charge and release a better version of the base magic attack, spending more magic rightfully so. With B you can charge the Frizz family of spells, with side B you can charge the Zap line of spells, and with up B you can charge the Whoosh line of spells. And then there's down B. You press down B and a menu will come out. Here's where it gets a little ugly. There's around 20 different magic spells with different effects that you can use. From gigantic explosions to attack buff and magic to elemental sword slashes to even sacrifice a stock for massive damage and knockback. The drawback is that it's all random. Yes, you can only choose 4 of these 20-something magic spells at the moment, and the 4 spells that appear at random. This is a bit of a problem since Smash is all about quick reflexes and instant decision making. But by having to bring up the menu and read, you're leaving yourself open. Now this isn't a drawback for just the hero user. The hero's opponent will also have a harder time if the opponent character's mobility is not so great at closing the distances quickly and if the player can't read the menu. For example, if by any chance I decide to surprise my friends by playing in Japanese, I could seriously screw up their game. On one hand, I would have preferred a menu of 9 solid choices where each joystick angle plus neutral would provide Hero with 9 non-random spells. Probably nerf some of them a bit just because we'd had them at Hero's disposal always. But on the other hand, the random factor just makes Hero so unique that it makes him far different from any other character because of this. One thing's for sure, menu icons are a must. And while I don't agree with the idea that every menu icon should specifically say which spell is being selected because it's just more information for the opponent player to process, this is what I think they should do. Make the spells color-coded and appear over the hero. For attack spells, which are all pretty much straightforward, they should be colored red. For buff spells, they should all be colored blue, for example, Oomph. For debuff and status inflicting spells, it should come in purple, Snooze for example. And for sword abilities, such as Fire Slash, they should all come in gray. This way, for every color, the opponent will know how to generally deal with every outcome, even if he or she doesn't know the language. Oh, and one last thing. Hero's swordplay. Though he uses some recycled but tweaked melee attacks from other blade-wielding characters, the mixing and matching of these makes his swordplay feel different enough from the other sword fighters. And there's one last gimmick up his sleeve. The critical hit. The critical hit has a 1 in 8 chance to come out when he performs a smash attack, and what it does is it doubles its damage and knockback, leading to some pretty early KOs. Is it fair? I'm split on this one, because although yes, it can lead to some early KOs and shield breaks, on the other hand, Hero's smash attacks are pretty slow and deceivingly lacking in range. But anyway, with all the jank and randomness, Hero proved to be a very unique fighter. All things said, I give Hero an 8. Banjo was an amazing surprise, such a beloved character from the 90s coming back to a Nintendo system after nearly 2 decades of being exclusive to Xbox consoles. It was definitely the best received character in the first pass. Now mechanic-wise, he doesn't really have much going for him as far as unique gimmicks go, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. Many Smash fans were starting to voice their displeasure about character after character with overly complicated mechanics. Limit bars, rebel gauges, MP and RNG, KO meters, dual, triple characters, command inputs, the list goes on. So Banjo and Kazooie show up, with their only gimmick being that of their side B, Wonder Wing, a straight dash attack that could be used as recovery and as an attack that could beat anything in the game so far, at nothing but the cost of a golden feather. This felt to many like a breath of fresh air. So, in an age of Smash where Sakurai works extra hard to make sure each character plays and feels as close to its native game as much as it can, then Banjo, with his simplicity, brings more by bringing less. Banjo and Kazooie's moveset perfectly reflects what they can do in their games, without becoming overly complicated. And why should it? It's a 3D platformer. It can't and shouldn't be overcomplicated. Although some might argue that this moveset is a little too keep away due to the grenades and eggs. Although he feels like a good simple character amidst a good chunk of complicated ones, Banjo is still pretty basic and doesn't really bring a whole lot new. Multiple jumps, we've seen it, spring-like recovery, we've seen it, down throw that buries, we've seen it, and seriously, why do so many characters bury in this game? Oh well. But it's the combination of all these moves where his uniqueness lies. It's not always about main gimmick, it's also about the flow of his moveset. And if the moveset is fun, then that's all that matters. Could he have had more? Maybe, although a quick investigation made me feel like Sakurai really did go all out implementing most of their moves. I could be mistaken though. Still, I'm going partly for absolute uniqueness, but I'll also rate regarding moveset fidelity. And seriously, I think he pretty much has most of them in Smash. All in all, Banjo and Kazooie gets a 7. There's a lot of fighting game icons out there, and it baffles me why I never considered Terry Bogard when thinking of another one joining Smash. As a KOF fan, I welcomed this addition, even though I wasn't sure just how much this character could bring aboard that wasn't already represented through Ryu and Ken. However, turns out he did bring a little something other than a whopping 50-something songs, which is more than any other third-party character has, and a spectacular stage that mimics 2D fighting game stages by being walled off to the sides, walls that you can break by sending your opponent with enough force through them, much like you do with a sandbag in home run contest. And much to the irony, of course it isn't tourney illegal. Terry joins the Smash roster bringing with him the already present input commands that Ryu introduced. However, those who don't pay enough attention or aren't really fighting game fans might miss a few details regarding Terry's input command. For those who are not familiar, the two most common type of input commands in fighting games are circular motion and all of its variants like quarter circle, semicircle, Z motion, 360, and there's also holding down directional buttons for a second or two before releasing them. Terry has both, a trait which isn't common in most fighting games, as a character is either one or the other. In Terry's case, his up special can be powered up by crouching, waiting for like almost a second, and then pressing up B, which brings out the best version of this move. Even if it may not seem like a big deal, I believe it's kind of cool addition, as it brings even more of a fighting game feel to Smash. Terry also brings a feature that many people have been wondering why they weren't included with Ryu and Ken, and that's a super meter. Well, Terry brings his own, and although it's not quite a meter, it's still a comeback mechanic present in fighting games since the 90s. Basically, when Terry has enough damage, a flashing go signal will appear right above his icon on the bottom of the screen. Here's when Terry can execute two supers. Both of these kill pretty quickly, but that's pretty much the reward for being able to survive that long. Terry's recovery is decent and more horizontally focused, so surviving past 100% should be a feat of its own. He has a spot dodge counterattack move. And lastly, Terry also has one thing no other character has, an additional special move in the form of Crack Shoot, a horizontal flip kick with great speed and power, excellent for additional horizontal recovery and a quick move to land on unsuspecting opponents. This is kind of big, as no other character has 5 special moves. Terry might seem like a redundant addition to the roster as far as moveset and gimmicks go, but if you like Ryu, Ken, and Lil Mac, but don't like their drawbacks, then Terry just might be the fighter you're looking for. Terry gets an 8. Byleth. Right. Variety in movesets are always nice. Fire Emblem isn't exactly known to offer a lot of variety in Smash, which is mainly part of the problem why it's becoming increasingly divisive with each character reveal from the series. However, I must admit that they have been doing a pretty solid job with the ones from the more recent characters, as is the case with Robin, Corrin, and now Byleth. Her overall moveset is still diverse enough to feel unique. Despite being yet another sword user, there is very little use for it as a common sword. Over half of her sword strikes turn into a blade whip, and although the moveset can seem a tad overpowered, it's made up for with a lack of speed and an abundance of lag for both attack startup and attack cooldown. Many of her attacks can turn the opponent's shield to dust easily. The fully charged bow, by holding neutral B long enough, puts an insane amount of shield pressure, so it's best not to try to shield it with less than half a shield. And there's the axe by pressing down B. Much like Hatchet Man, it charges up for like a second and a half before delivering a devastating axe chop. But this is like a better version of Hatchet Man because you can change direction, armor attacks, and even drop from ledges as you wait for the charging to stop and deliver the blow. CPU has surprised me with this one more than twice already. The best tool at Byleth's disposal, in my opinion, is Side B. The spear is already long enough to rival Simon's forward smash or Hero's Zapple. Only you at the distance covered when Byleth makes a little dash forward as she swings. It also comes out pretty fast for a move that strong. It's great for covering her recovery from characters coming to intercept her on their way back, and yet it also gives her a little push forward to make it closer to the stage. It also surprisingly combos really well after up B. Since Byleth is so slow, she's probably going to suffer a bit when pressured to go on the offense. Characters with charging attacks or meters will pose a bit of a problem, especially if they're fast on their feet, as Byleth's run speed is about the same as Robin's. Also, Byleth's recovery is extremely exploitable. Overall, Byleth doesn't really bring anything new. She mostly feels like they reused a lot of moves from other fighters. The first fighter pass has been amazing, but Byleth definitely feels like the most basic character in the past. She's a little on the strong side with the insane amount of shield pressure they gave her, but I guess they need to make her good for her to stand out a bit more. I'm giving her a 5. So, what do you guys think? How would you rate the pass? Feel free to tell me what you think in the comments below. Till next time, ciao.